Pleasant good day, everyone. Just want to take a couple minutes just to review certain concepts in our graded discussion number four, the scavenger hunt on UDL, Universal Design for Learning. And I can see that many of you have done an excellent job so far on the activity. And I just want to point out a few things as we get into it, understanding what it really is. What do we mean when we say universal design for learning? And it has three, of course, three tenets: multiple means of representation, multiple means of expression, and multiple means of engagement. And what this really means for us is, as curriculum developers, as persons who are in adult education, curriculum development, assessment and evaluation, how do we ensure that our classroom is truly inclusive? So this is really about inclusion, and that we have provided learning opportunities for all our students. And by doing that, what we do, long ago, if you notice our curriculum, and most of our curriculum today is the same, everybody does the same thing. I mean, the course we are doing right now, we are not giving you choices as yet, right? But let me just say this, that I have written quite a bit of courses and updated quite a bit of courses in the last 2 years. And one of the things that I have done is, for each assignment, there is a choice. So for our final project, I have had courses where I've had four choices, up to four choices. Let me just make it clear that it takes work to do that. It takes work as educators, as curriculum developers, as teachers, for us to make sure we have multiple means of expression, representation, and engagement. And so, what does that mean for assessment and evaluation? It means that we have to come to the place where a final assignment can, like for instance, the very project I gave to you, I am hoping that a year from now, or maybe next year, I'm going to update the curriculum, right? And what I want to do is put in choices of your final major assignment, because in many of the courses I teach for University of Toronto or Queen's University, I have done that. And what it does is give people an opportunity to express their learning, to evidence their learning in different ways. So that is why we talk about multiple means of representation, expression, and engagement. And the days of teaching one way, where you walk in class and every day it's a PowerPoint, those days are over. We have to be careful of that. We have to understand that the classroom is changing. The classroom is looking different, and we have to find multiple ways of engaging all our students. And as I said to you, we'll find these ideas are helpful in course development and developing curriculum. Like I said to you before, more and more our classroom is becoming inclusive spaces, very inclusive spaces. What does that mean? I'm not sure some of you may realize, but if some of you are school teachers, you'll realize that in many schools, students go to homeschool programming, they go to special ed classroom, they go to resource center, they go to they go to pick out programs or placement programs or half day programs. What we are getting into in many of the school boards and in many of the university college spaces, everybody is in the same room. Everybody is in the same room, and we have to, as the educator, it is now your job to find multiple ways of engaging everyone. I can tell you, as an educator for 23 years, the classroom has changed. The classroom has changed. At the university level, almost, in every class of 30 students, I can guarantee there's going to be at least two students I will get a letter of accommodation or modification for. What does that mean for my teaching? And what does that mean for your teaching? It means that we are going to have students in our classrooms that cannot engage in the regular, so to speak, in the regular setting or in the regular plan that we have. And it's not a something that we should be overwhelmed about as educators. We have to understand that we have to go ahead and to create those levels of accommodations. We have to create those levels of modifications. It is about the inclusive classroom. It is about reaching every single student where they're at and taking them to where they need to be. And I can tell you, I'm being honest about it, it's some extra work for you. But I can tell you also, when you have done this extra work at the front, it makes your life 100% more easier as an educator, as a teacher. And so take pleasure. I am using that word. Take pleasure in looking into your lessons and looking into your classroom and looking into what you're doing and creating those levels of accommodation, creating those levels of modification. Like I said to you, I recently, started teaching a course at the University of Toronto in anti-discriminatory education, and I wanted to lead by example. I don't want to be an hypocrite when it comes to my work, and so what I have done in that course is to ensure that there are three choices for assignments in the final paper, and the students were very amazed by that. They were very happy that they have choices, and I'm going to add a fourth choice because I realize that the three choices are amazing and they're really good, but I wanted something that persons who are more artistic in the arts, whether it's the performing or the creative arts, can evidence their learning in a critical way, in very very high level critical level thinking, and in that way. So I want to go up on the Bloom's taxonomy. I'm not watering down the lesson. And sometimes when we think the word accommodation or modification, we think it's going to be less. It is not less. It is not less, and it is not watered down. It is it is a skill. Let me use that word. It is a skill that you and I have to evidence this in our lesson planning. It is a skill. And it's a skill that we have in demonstrating it in our lesson planning, in our actual execution of the lesson. Because what I find is that sometimes we have good ideas, but we don't have good execution. So we may write something, but we don't have good execution of it. And so when you look at the lesson being actually taught, you actually see a lesson that looks, everything is the same. The lesson plan says you have accommodation or modification, but it's all the same. And so what I want us to do is to remember that as educators, the classroom is changing. We have to cater for different kinds of learners, and that is why we look at UDL. That is why. Let me just go to that. I go to a quick page with that. Let me just run to a quick page. I like to do that for a minute, and that is why we create UDL. Right. That's why we look at UDL. Right. Universal design for learning. I'll find it. Don't worry. And that's why we go into UDL, right? I like to go into the images. I really want to do this. And that's why we go into the images. That's why we look at what it means. I like this one. What does it really mean? I love this. The classrooms are filled with students who are different needs, come from different educational backgrounds, have different attention spans and interests, have different language abilities, have different cultural backgrounds. And that is what it is about. It is about finding that time, finding that space to ensure that we have students who feel included, multiple means of representation, multiple means of action and expression. And I like this word action because that was not a word that was used when we started Universal Design for Learning. We didn't use the word action. And the word action is there now. Multiple means of action and expression, and provide multiple means of engagement. And so that is what it's about. At the end of the day, sometimes we are so technical about what are the principles of universal design for learning. But the principles for me, they are right here. And I'm going to close on this. The principles for me, they are right here. It's as an educator, understanding that the classroom is filled with students from different background, different needs, different experiences, different languages, different home experience, different issues, different state of mental wellness, different state of wholeness. And how do you do that? And I don't want us as educators to feel burdened like, wow, I have to do all of this. It is a pleasure to plan a lesson knowing that you have planned this lesson, craft this assignment, this engagement, this test, this curriculum with the students in mind. And so I want us to think about that as we think about universal design for learning.